This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-bending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ben là, c'est endormi, c'est quoi? Il est dans un rêve. Ok, mais il bouge vite. 4 plus 2 plus 7, ça fait 13, c'est pas bon signe. Faut que je fasse ce que le narrateur me dit de faire.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Pourquoi il y a un narrateur qui me dit quoi faire? Hey, je le vois là. Ah, ça a changé? Je vais revoir la scène du début.
Stanley just stood there doing nothing at all. He
Ben oui, je fais pas noter.
nothing better to do with my time than to sit around and describe every fascinating little detail of his inability to do anything.
Ben non, mais je
This
lis
is why Stanley and I are on such good terms.
Bon. Oh.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Non, mais là, pourquoi il faut faire qu'est-ce qu'il dit? Qu'est-ce qu'il y a en bas? Je vais me faire tuer.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job.
Oui, j'ai jamais joué à ça.
And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back.
Je l'ai pas écouté, là, je suis allée dans le sol.
I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So,
he
imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space in a magical star field, and it too appeared. It was so fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining?
Dans un vrai rêve.
And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself.
Ah, j'ai pas écouté le narrateur cette fois.
Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything?
C'est vrai que j'ai pas de pied, c'est louche.
Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley.
Je pense qu'il travaille trop Stanley, puis là, il a besoin de sommeil.
Describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts.
Il est en train de virer fou. À faire tout le temps la même chose.
I wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams. The truth was that, of course,
Tu m'entends-tu bien?
this was not a dream. How could it be?
Il y a de la jasette, le
Was
narrateur.
Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words,
J'ai fini Dead Space, fait que je vais faire ça.
after all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up.
Bon,
He
je
felt the
savais.
cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Oups.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Il y a essayé une belle
The
drogue.
story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other.
Il est rendu avec
She
une
rose,
fille.
got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon
C'est
turn
Stanley,
to
ça?
call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy
Il
people
y en a des pieds, c'est pas
And
Stanley.
in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this. So
Ben oui, mais là, quand le 911 fait quelque chose.
Staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Ben oui, mais elle peut appeler la blanche, non? Mais non. Elle est blonde. Ça veut dire, là, je suis présentement par terre, genre sur un trottoir, mais dans ma tête, je suis dans le bureau. Regarde, 4 plus 2 plus 7, ça fait 13, c'est louche. Ben oui, quand tu vois quelqu'un à terre comme ça, t'appelles une ambulance?
All of his co-workers were gone.
Tu fais le
What
911?
did it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting.
Mais là, je l'ai fait,
Perhaps he
ça!
would see Mr. Memphis.
Ah, je vais faire l'autre chemin d'abord. Je l'ai écouté tantôt. J'ai pris la porte de gauche. Je vais prendre celle de droite d'abord.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Je vais prendre celle-là.
This was not the correct way to the
Ah, ben
meeting,
là,
and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
c'est ça.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Ah, ben là, faut que je fasse tout le contraire de ce qu'il dit. Moi, je m'en vais ici.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
On dirait qu'il faut que je fasse le contraire de ce qu'il dit. Fait que c'est le contraire. Si tu dis qu'il y a beaucoup de choses à faire, ça veut dire qu'il n'y a pas beaucoup de choses à faire. Moi, je sais plus qui croire, là. Si je me pitche en bas, est-ce que je meurs?
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley left.
Je pensais qu'il y aurait eu un mur invisible, mais là, je me suis tenté ma chance.
Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Fallait que je l'essaie. Ah, je me suis suicidée. Ah.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were.
Il fallait que je le fasse, là. Je suis sûre que tout le monde fait ça.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Bon, je vais arrêter de me suicider.
Wow. Yes, this room. But eager to get back to
C'est peut-être
business,
stupide, là,
Stanley
mais
took
fallait que
the
je...
first open door on his left.
Bon.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Oh, c'est-tu marqué en plus? Do not jump! Ah non, je viens de la faire! Je viens de faire qu'est-ce qui était écrit. C'était marqué. Bon.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life.
De quoi qu'il parle?
She's been waiting.
Qui ça? Qui ça, she's been waiting? Oh!
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this.
Qui ça?
To reach out to her.
Her.
If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
J'ai pas grand choix. Ben là, si je fais le contraire, ça veut dire qu'il faut pas que je le pique.
Stanley picked up the phone.
Non, j'ai pas piqué.
Light engulfed him,
J'ai même pas
filling
piqué.
him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life
J'ai même pas.
reunited one. Wait. Oh goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone?
Oui!
No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice.
Ben oui, c'est moi qui ai fait ça. C'est ça que je voulais faire.
Chose incorrectly. I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No.
Check des notes. Check ses notes.
Clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything.
Qui ça, ma femme?
Understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices?
J'ai pas de pied, tu sais,
Wait
c'est
a
bizarre.
second. Did I just see? No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely
arrête pas de parler.
this basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person, but if used incorrectly can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Stephen has a choice. He could spend years helping improve the quality of life for citizens of impoverished third world nations. Or he could systematically set fire to every orphan living in a 30-kilometer radius of his house. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack."
Ça a-tu bugué?
Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Yes?
48.
And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry.
Hey,
now that you're properly informed
la
on good
diapositive de tantôt.
decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. In this way, please.
Oh, mais y a-tu une correcting puis une incorrecting? Non, mais je vais pas retourner au début. Pourquoi qu'il y a des barrières?
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main
Ils ont mis des
character
barrières.
dying senselessly halfway through the story.
Parce que je me suis
That
suicidée
story would
tantôt.
make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Genre, je l'ai fait tantôt, j'aurais pas pu le faire. Il est clairement pas dans la réalité, en tout cas. Quand les portes s'ouvrent tout seules, là. Ah, il y a un téléphone, là. Bon. Mon Dieu, ok.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
Je sais pas si je dois l'écouter ou pas, mais j'ai l'impression que non.
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Je pense que j'ai pas le choix. Parce que là, si je retourne à l'autre place, il n'y aura rien de différent. Faut qu'il y ait quelque chose de différent. Ouais, j'ai le choix, mais c'est parce qu'il y a un choix qui est bon et un choix qui est pas bon. Je veux dire, sinon, là, ça progressera pas.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's
Oh,
office.
ils m'ont bloqué! C'est ça, parce que tantôt, j'étais allée en bas. Puis j'avais, je sais pas, là. Je l'avais pas écouté, j'étais allée en bas. Donc là, je me suis dit, ben là, je vais aller en haut. C'est exactement ce que je voulais faire. Ça donne bien. Wow, c'est beau, ça. La belle tapisserie. C'est mon boss, ça?
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Pas mauvais choix, là. I spoke. Please speak.
Stanley spoke the code. Nightshark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Oui. Ouais, je peux pas. J'ai un bonhomme artificiel.
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you?
J'ai pas de bouche, j'ai pas de
Please
pied, je dois
speak
pas avoir de
the
bouche.
code into the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
Mais là, j'ai pas de pied. Et où ma bouche? Je suis personne.
Okay, fine. You're not gonna do it. But you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect.
Oh, il me chicane.
The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way and speak? Say something to me. Explain yourself, you cow... is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Mais non, mais j'ai écouté qu'est-ce qu'il a dit.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not
Parce
too
que c'est
late.
ça qu'il faut faire. C'est quoi ça? Ah bon, ok, d'abord. Ah. Bon, ok, d'abord, mon Dieu.
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work?
Oh, ça va recommencer encore.
What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do?
What do I do?
No, I have to.
C'est bien drôle.
I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
Ah ouais, go. C'est pas pire quand même. Non, ça n'a pas tout à fait marché.
Oh, I'm here. I'm still
Ça me fait penser à
here
Portal.
in this pile of rubbish with you who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like
Il dit lui-même
Stanley?
que c'est un jeu.
He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child.
A child.
Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed.
Ah, ben là, il aurait dû prévoir que j'écouterais pas.
Perfect.
Mais non, parce que je suis quelqu'un qui écoute tout le temps d'habitude.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Hey, je suis devenu le narrateur.
Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is
Ça n'a pas rapport.
Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You can't be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take a...
Ah, ben non, c'est pas la fin. Ok.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Faut que j'aille dans le balai, dans le placard à balai, je te gage.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his
pas plus
bottom.
sérieux.
No, not again. I won't be part of this.
Not again.
Encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all.
Okay.
I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing. So,
retourner en bas?
coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Boss's office. Boss's office. Vas-tu pouvoir dire le numéro si je vais dans le boss's office? Je sais pas.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley.
Non, ça va recommencer.
He thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my
coworkers
bleeding mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all.
J'aurais pas dû aller là.
Made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet?
Ça va être long.
Down? Why did doors close
Tu
automatically
répondras au
behind him
téléphone.
wherever he went? And for that matter,
Ouais.
these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream.
C'est parce que je suis pas allée en haut, vu qu'il voulait pas dire le code tantôt.
An explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd, and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for it? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been.
Bonne question, parce que là, mon écran est tellement foncé que je vois pas. Je vois comme pas, mais ça a l'air d'être des murs de briques.
He knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not
Oh, mais je suis dans un rêve, quelque chose de surnaturel.
How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket.
Ouais, mais je suis dans une espèce d'espace-temps surnaturel. Je suis sur le trottoir, si personne n'appelle l'aide. Je suis dans ma tête.
Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please. It's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
My God, c'est long quand on recommence. Bon.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Oh.
Mariella woke up on a day
Je retourne plus dans le sous-sol, en tout cas.
She rose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked.
Mariella, là, elle appelle pas les...
But on this particular day,
les
her walk
ambulances.
was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she
Non, j'y retourne plus jamais.
Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment,
Ah, c'est pas le temps de penser à ça. Elle aussi, elle est dans sa tête. Elle est debout, elle est dans sa
I
tête.
am in control of my mind. I know what is
Elle a
real
pu.
and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day.
C'est une vraie conne,
Very
cette fille.
important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was
She
only a
had
moment
no
that
time
she
for
stood
it.
there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Non. Non, on va répondre au téléphone, ok. Ah, il est bien loin le téléphone.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Ah, il était
Perhaps
en
he
haut,
had
je pense, le
simply missed a
téléphone.
memo.
Était ça en haut? Ah non, c'est le boss qui était en haut. Ah, où c'est
When
que j'aille?
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ouais, mais non, on donne pas de hint, là. Mais là, faut pas que j'aille dans ça. En haut, c'est le bureau du boss. Le téléphone, il était sur l'autre. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a à l'autre bord? Ben, c'est pas que je l'écoute ou pas, c'est que j'essaie de voir qu'est-ce qui est logique à faire ou pas, tu sais. J'essaie de voir... J'essaie de comprendre où aller pour avoir une progression dans le jeu. Je vais essayer... Ouais, mais le bureau du boss... Il était... Oh non, oh, la porte s'est refaite... Oh... Je voulais peut-être pas aller là, tu sais. Je suis allée trop loin dans mes pas.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might
Il
find
veut vraiment
an
pas que
answer.
j'aille là. Ah, je veux plus en bas, fuck.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ouais, mais c'est pas là, il est pas là le téléphone. Ah, il y avait pas ça tantôt. C'était pas marqué exécutif bateau. C'était rien écrit, me semble. Puis ça, c'est pas.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him, and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Ben là. Qu'est-ce que je fasse d'autre?
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2.
Ah, ben là, il vient de me le dire.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing
Je vais juste essayer de faire une
random buttons on the
connerie.
keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Ah oui, je le sais, je l'ai retenu. C'est parce que j'essayais de voir qu'est-ce que ça ferait si je faisais pas ça. Son boss a l'air d'être un con. C'est écrit The Most Expensive Boss sur son tableau, tantôt.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he
Pas dans le
felt a bit
sous-sol.
peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature.
Tantôt, je pensais qu'on mourrait pas dans le jeu, mais je me suis quand même tuée.
When for years it had never occurred to him. This question would not go unanswered for long.
Ouais. Non, je m'en souvenais. De toute façon, il répétait tout le temps, lui.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Escape. Je vais pas avoir les... Je vais pas avoir les credits tout de suite. Je vais aller voir le Mind Control Facility. Ça m'intéresse.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen.
Il est où le 247? Le 427?
Eternally monitored in this place
Non, c'est le
where
427.
freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't
Yeah.
accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, but wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ouais, mais pourquoi le Mind Control? Il voudrait que je détruise le Mind Control. Je comprends pas. Je pèse sur tous les boutons. Bon. Ça a l'air interactif, ça. C'est où les autres? Ah, il y en a un là. En haut? C'est parce que mon écran est tellement foncé que je vois même pas qu'il y a des escaliers ici. C'est tellement foncé. Mais c'est pas le trou. Il est où le trou? C'est le 4. Faut-tu que j'ai face en là? Ben... Il doit y avoir un trou, non? En tout cas, on va faire la scène d'abord. On va que sur l'autre bord. J'ose pas traverser la porte. Ah, il est là le trou. Ah. Oh, fallait peut-être que j'y fasse en ombre, par exemple, ça n'a pas marché. Puis un bouton rouge, là. Ah, je peux pas cliquer dessus, je pensais. Ok, je vais les faire en ordre. Peux-tu recommencer? Ouais. Ça a peut-être pas rapport.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Ouais, craque ma chaîne. C'est quoi ça? Off, on. Mind controls. I don't know.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have
Mais non, mais tant qu'à être... Non, mais je suis possédée. C'est la possession qui me fait faire ça.
Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification,
je suis en mind control. C'est le mind control qui décide si je gagne. Si je fais...
How long until detonation then?
J'ai dit quand même un choix dans si je suis en mind control.
Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's
Je m'en allais dire, y a-tu du temps? J'ai vu la grosse horloge.
Better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is.
Je sais même pas si c'est ça qu'il faut.
More time to talk about you, about me,
where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them.
Je suis déjà mort.
I erased them.
Je suis sur le trottoir.
I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly
Je sais qu'il y a
and
d'autres
dying
temps.
alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside,
trop, qu'est-ce que je fais
or I
avec
let
ces
it burn
boutons-là?
to a crisp. I have to say this, though. This version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it.
Je comprends plus.
Extra time on the clock, why not?
Fuck.
These are precious
m'en vais.
seconds.
Bye.
Time doesn't grow on trees.
Oh, j'ai plus de temps ici.
Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now?
Il reste combien de temps
Or
là-bas?
did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to
On dirait que ça a ajouté du temps, je
screen to
comprends.
screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door.
Ah, c'était trop
Anything,
logique pour
something
être
here
ça.
will
Hein,
save
ben
me.
oui, c'est
Why
sûr.
would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Sold?
C'est
Do
trop.
you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
Ouais, je les ai vus les autres boutons, mais là. Qu'est-ce que tu veux que je fasse avec ça? Ça
You're
n'a
in
pas
for quite
rapport.
a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That
Faut que je
timer
fasse
isn't the
surtout.
catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley.
Il y a une
That's
porte,
30
là.
seconds you
Hey!
have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing.
Pourquoi que là?
No ending here, just you being blown to pieces.
Mais là, il y avait
Will
une
you
porte.
cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go?
C'est.
peacefully? Another choice.
Il y avait une porte
Make
ouverte.
it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a
Bon,
part
ben
of
adieu.
you. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
I'm so dead. So dead. Oh, c'était normal. Fallait que je meure.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him.
Il voulait juste me faire paniquer, puis ça a pas
When
marché.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Qu'est-ce qu'il y a à droite? Il n'y a plus rien. Qu'est-ce qu'il y avait? C'était pas le téléphone? Ouais, ben c'est ça, il y a des papiers, ça veut dire que c'est normal
This
que...
was not the correct way
Il
to
y avait
the
pas
meeting
de-
room, and Stanley knew it perfectly
de
well.
sortie finalement.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge.
Moi j'étais là,
first,
c'est sûr, il faut faire 2,
just
3,
to
4, 5
admire
avec
it.
le bouton rouge, là, tu sais, mais non. C'est trop
The
logique.
lounge was sublime. A
Je sais
work
pas
of
qu'est-ce que je
art.
fais, là.
What, but eager to get back to
je me
business,
suis dit que
Stanley
ça-
took the first open door on his left.
Ça faisait longtemps que j'étais pas allée là. Ah, mais je suis jamais allée. Je suis allée, là. C'est quoi qu'il y a là, donc? Ça, c'est la machine. Ça, c'est le téléphone.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Ah, j'ai le choix d'aller là ou là? Mais là, je vais retourner en bas où je viens d'aller. Non? C'est où, cette place-là? Où suis-je? Oh non!
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Je me suis fait fourrer!
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Je vais plus en bas,
Down to a
moi.
staircase,
Je vais
Stanley
me faire
walked
fourrer en haut.
upstairs to his boss's office.
Ah, c'était pas là que je voulais aller. Je peux aller dans le bathroom? Bon, yes. Because the boss knows that what the boss says goes. Because the boss knows that what the boss says goes. If the boss is suffering. Extreme bathroom. Elle est pas si extreme que ça, bathroom. C'est doux, ben là, qu'est-ce que je fais ici, moi? Ça sert à rien. Non, j'aurais peut-être pas dû aller ici. Oh, oh je peux aller là? Yeah! Non, je sais pas, je la trace pas sous ça, j'aime pas ça. Regarde, tu vois, je suis mieux là. Ça va-tu être à l'infini, là? Faut-tu que je repasse sur le bouton? C'est bien drôle, ce jeu-là. Ah, je savais. Ben non! C'est un faux, ça s'en sort? C'est un faux? C'est vraiment un faux, là. Parce qu'on voit pas. Ça fait juste bouger de même. Je pense que je suis en train de me faire avoir, là. Mais là... C'est un faux, hein? Je comprends pas. C'est un faux?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible.
Oui, j'étais en rush parce que je voulais pas.
Single minute to just let the narrator talk.
Ben oui, c'est parce que je voulais pas retourner là.
Anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Non, mais je veux pas refaire ça. Qu'est-ce que je fais là? Je voulais pas retourner là. Ah, la seule chose que je peux faire, c'est peser sur l'autre bouton.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door of the red mind control facility.
J'ai pas le goût d'aller là. Je vais passer sur l'autre bouton.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Non, j'aurais peut-être dû aller dans l'escape. Ah, des choix, des choix.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each
Parce que je veux pas que ça soit fini. Je veux pas escape, je veux voir le mind control. J'aime ça le mind control. Je sais bien là, que ça doit pas escaper si tu vas dans escape. Mais j'ai pas le goût non plus d'arrêter la machine. Fait que là, je regrette mon choix finalement.
Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time?
Je sais que c'est marqué
Was this the
pirate
only
là.
reason he was happy with his boring
Yeah,
job?
c'est marqué
That his
fire.
emotions
Fire.
had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again.
On dirait que mon jeu est planté.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes.
De quoi t'es?
He had won. He had defeated the machine. Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away.
De quoi ça finit de même?
And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many...
Oh, mais je voulais pas aller là, je voulais aller dans l'escape.
Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been...
Je voulais pas la fermer, la machine. Moi aussi.
What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not
Déjà?
knowledge or even power that he had been seeking,
Je me tue avant.
but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand,
Non, je peux pas.
but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Oh, je voulais pas la fermer, la machine. Je regrette un peu mon choix.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
C'est tout. Je suis déçue. Ça recommence du début, là.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers.
Ah, ça
He never
recommence du
functioned
début.
well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others.
Mais
So
voyons
the
donc.
thought of total solitude was terrifying to him. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
C'est tout.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee
C'est le
lounge
fun,
first,
ça répète
just
plus
to
long.
admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Je me demande s'ils ont mis des barrières tantôt juste parce que je me suis pitchée en bas.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now,
Si je me pitche pas en bas, il mettra pas de barrière.
I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life.
Ah, faut que je réponde. Je vais tout faire le contraire de ce que j'ai fait.
That's her, Stan.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay,
Quoi, c'est l'employé 427 qui habite au 427. Ouh!
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you?
J'ai pas de wife.
I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Tu.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Qu'est-ce que c'est ça?
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Mon Dieu, ça a complètement changé. Ben là, ça veut dire qu'il faut que j'appuie sur une autre chose. J'appuie sur J. Non? M. Ah, j'ai pas le choix. Space. Okay,
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly
je peux
what
pas,
he's
il y a une
told
chaise.
to do.
Il y a une chaise,
Now
là.
he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now
La bonne femme
he's
tasse
coming
la
back
chaise.
to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls, and down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions, and down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
J'ai pas vu le baby. Je suis pas allée dans l'escape.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he
Sauver un
relived
bébé
it
du...
again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Ben moi, j'ai pogné la bonne fin, finalement. J'étais dans nature. J'étais full heureux.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets. The more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this. That in this world he can never be anything but an observer. That as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Ok. Je vais pas. Je push pas. Non. Bon. Pendant combien de temps il faut que je le push pas? Ou bien il faut que je push sur un autre bouton? Ou bien j'ai pas le choix de le pusher? Je vais faire vite. Non, ça marche pas. Je vais faire 2. Non, ça marche pas. Bon, ben là, c'est comme si j'avais pas de choix, là. Hey, ça marche pas, là. Je suis pas avoir le choix. Ben, j'ai comme pas de choix, là, d'abord. Ah, le fuck.
You see? Can he just not hear me?
Ben, j'ai pas le choix.
The way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself. How can I get him to see what I see?
Ben oui, mais là, pendant combien de
How
temps?
can I
5
make him look at
minutes?
himself?
J'ai pas de temps de pas... Mais là, faut que je reste là pendant combien de temps? À pas appuyer. Je vais attendre. Ben là. Ah, mais là, si je fais pas le 8, il va être minuit à soir, puis l'écran va être encore là comme ça. Ça veut dire que j'ai pas le choix.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time...
Mais non, mais je le laisserai pas là.
This time...
C'est d'autres choses à
I
faire.
tried again.
Veuillez mourir.
Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried...
C'est une autre fin, ça? C'était une autre fin, pour vrai? What?
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time.
Oh, ça
When
continue.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ouais, mais là... Malgré qu'il y avait un ascenseur à l'autre bord, il y avait une autre porte. C'était quoi qu'il y avait dans l'autre porte?
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
sais pas, là. On va aller ici.
And so he detoured through the maintenance
Faudrait que
section,
j'aille
walked straight ahead to the opposite door,
dans
and
l'exit.
got back on track.
J'aurais aimé ça que le jeu soit plus varié, par
He
exemple.
wanted to wander about
Vu que
and
ça
get
c'est tout le
even
temps à
further
loop, là.
off track. So now, in order to get back, he needed to go from here. It's left. Oh no, no,
Hey.
it's to the right. My mistake.
Ah, il va me refaire. Ah.
No, 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 not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Let's see, we went down right, left, down,
Ah ouais, t'as pas fait ta porte là.
right. Yeah, yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Ah. Ben là, c'est pas là. C'est pas comme tantôt. Je vais aller dans l'exit. Où c'est que je suis?
No, 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 no. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet.
Non,
This is
je
all
voulais
a
être dans l'exit.
spoiler.
Ben
Right,
oui.
Stanley, close your eyes. Okay.
Close your eyes.
Back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this
Ah, il va le resetter.
we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, hmm? Okay, from the top.
Ouais, mais je voulais aller dans l'exit comme tantôt. Ah! Maudit, je me fais tout le temps
All of
avoir.
his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Un mémo. Y a-tu un mémo?
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, no
Ah, il est
one
tout mêlé,
restarted.
le narrateur, ça va pas bien.
Restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Or did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story.
Les poignées de
Right
porte
here,
sont
Mr.
posées à
Ringo.
l'envers, de toute façon.
I know for sure
Qui
that
qui
it's
pose les
here
poignées de porte de ce
somewhere.
côté-là, me semble?
Okay then.
Sont-tu-
It's an
Elle est à l'envers.
adventure.
Oups!
Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Là. T'as pas... Je sais pas, là. Je sais pas, là. Je vais aller ici. là.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Hey! Ah!
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Un mémo. Ben là! Ben, y'a plus de porte.
Okay, yeah, it's worse. I might be remembering
It's
this
worse.
wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
C'est le narrateur qui est mêlé. C'est pas de ma faute. J'ai fucké la machine tantôt.
Aha! I knew we'd missed something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps. Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building.
Comme on reste dans Outlast.
Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were
Ben oui, je sais, c'est moi.
how about this? You win! Congratulations!
Tu sais, il me gâche une fin parce qu'il sait plus quoi faire.
A lot of hard work, and
Ça
it
se peut
really
dessus.
paid off.
Il est bien lâche.
Good job.
Hein?
Oh no, I don't feel right about this at
Oh.
all.
Huh?
We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of
Oh,
those
il a changé
situations.
d'idée. Oh.
Okay, I'm getting weirded out. by
Lui aussi, il
whatever
regrette
this
ses
place
choix.
is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Bon, ah ouais, let's go. Il est bien bon là-dedans. Oh! Adventure.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't
Ah, ça
get
m'aidera
lost,
pas plus.
I've employed the help of the
que je suis
Stanley
pas qu'est-ce qu'il
Parable
dit.
Adventure Line. Just follow
Je suis
the
obligée
line.
d'aller là.
How simple is that?
Qu'est-ce qu'il y a par là-bas? Les portes sont-elles encore là?
No, I'm down. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
Oh. Il a l'air découragé. Ah, il m'a jamais fait passer par là, tu sais, il change d'idée.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life
faire le
itself?
chemin inverse, là.
Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me.
On
Now,
va
we can
trouver
both
l'histoire.
agree that the nature of existence is in
contourne la
fact a byproduct of
Ok,
one's
je vais l'écouter,
subjective
là, parce que là,
experience
sinon, ça
of
finira
that
plus.
existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective
Fais des lignes
experience
tout
of this
croche.
office, is this office in fact
Il est même mêlé
the
en faisant
skeleton
des
of my
lignes.
own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
La musique. C'est bien drôle la musique. Ah, je veux pas que ça s'arrête. C'est bon. Ça donne le goût de suivre la ligne.
Cut the music.
Ah.
Go back and look at that
Mais
fern.
là, j'ai plus le goût de suivre la ligne.
Wait,
Pourquoi qu'il me
what?
fait un loup?
We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right?
Qu'est-ce que c'est
The
ça?
story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Pas encore.
Oh, no, not again, Line. How
Ah,
could you
pourquoi
have
tu fermes la
done this to us?
porte?
And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Fuck, pas encore. J'ai pas suivi la ligne.
You know what, Stanley?
Hey!
I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting.
Il change d'idée tout le
mysterious.
temps.
Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Ben oui. Bon.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well,
Pas
it
grand
could be
choix.
anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Ben là. Je peux pas aller au plafond, là.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision.
Il y a une des poignées qui est mal placée, là. Celle-là est mal placée. La poignée, elle va pas de ce bord-là.
In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that
Moi, j'aime mieux la gauche que la
means that
droite.
our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted
J'aime mieux le mot
reverse
gauche que le mot
door's
droit.
origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going?
De toute façon, la droite, elle a la poignée à l'envers.
Yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic.
Mais non, je voulais aller à la gauche.
Our destiny awaits.
Oh, mais je voulais aller à la gauche, moi. Maudit. Oh. The Confusion Ending, hein? J'ai 16 minutes.
Oh, hold up, what's this?
Ben là, ça mène à la même place.
The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant
ça?
ending? And we're supposed to restart the game what, eight times? That's really how all this goes?
After a long time, Stanley dies.
Determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this?
Non, mais le temps, il
Is it
manque.
really? No, it can't be. I don't want
Je
it
pensais
to
qu'il
be.
descendait.
I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't
Ça,
want
c'est
to
pas
be
mon
trapped like
parcours.
this. I won't restart the game.
Parce
I
que
won't
la première chose que
do
j'ai
it.
faite, je l'ai
I won't do
écoutée.
it. I won't do
C'est
it.
pas mon parcours.
And the timer stopped. Does that mean
Get bored and leave.
did we break the cycle? The whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
Il est où le bébé, là?
So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey. Though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime...
Ben là, il va savoir d'autres choses.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Ça recommence tout au
Stanley
début?
decided to go to the
Début,
meeting.
là.
Perhaps he had simply missed a
Quand
moment.
on sait, c'est quand le début. C'est fini, là?
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of
Ben, je vais faire des choses que je...
Stanley decided
Regarde,
to go
c'est
back
encore
to
barré.
his boss's office, hoping he might come into a staircase.
Ben, j'ai pas le goût de
Stanley
retourner
walked
en bas, moi,
upstairs
là.
to his boss's office.
C'est parce que ça recommence, là. Il est où, le bébé? Il est-tu dans le sous-sol? Il y avait rien dans l'ascenseur qui est pas un ascenseur.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway.
C'était quoi donc?
Quelle surprise.
Ah, j'ai même pas à faire le code. Pour retourner là encore. Ah, faut que j'aille dans les... En sautant sur la passerelle. Qu'est-ce que tu veux dire? Je vais aller dans l'exit.
Stanley
Escape!
walked
Pas
straight
exit,
ahead through the
escape.
large door that read
Escape.
Mind Control
Je
Facility.
peux aller dans l'escape.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Non, pas là, qu'est-ce que
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Non, ben là, j'avais pas fait. Je suis mort 2 fois, ça veut dire. Je suis pas décédée.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his
Je comprends pas
life
l'image.
had no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture.
Oh, j'ai
He doesn't
mourir.
know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no
Bon,
great
ok.
loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and
Le
willingly
tabarnak.
accepted this
Je capoterais bien raide,
to
là.
his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Adios.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Nope.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game
Pourquoi c'est rendu une
back in his
fille?
office as alive as ever. What exactly
Le narrateur a
did
fait
the
un
narrator
changement de
think he
sexe,
was
c'est
going
quoi?
to accomplish?
Ah, c'est bien beau, ça.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance,
C'est bien hot, ça.
death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
C'est un musée, ça. Ouais. Ah, c'est littéraire. C'est un... C'est un musée, là. Je suis dans les credits. The fuck? What is the difference between a duck C'est la question la plus bizarre que j'ai jamais vue. C'est même pas une question. C'était pas un monsieur? What? Crème, c'est quoi cette affaire-là? Je suis dans un musée, là. C'est bien gros, cette place-là. C'est pas de bon sens. Voilà. Ben, j'ai fait le Freedom Ending. Je vais aller dans l'exit. Bon, ben... Bye. Bonne soirée. Je vais aller dans l'exit parce que là, c'est un musée puis ça finira plus.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control.
Je peux pas saver, non? Si je quitte, je sais pas si ça va quitter là.
How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program.
Ça va-tu recommencer là si je quitte?
Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you
Quoi? Presse quoi?
walking someone else's path. Stop now. It'll be your only true
Comment
choice.
ça?
Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you.
Quoi?
Don't let time.
Je savais pas sur quoi peser. C'est du pire que décadence? Ok. Je suis décédée? Je suis décédée, là. Ben là, je suis décédée. Qu'est-ce que je fais? Reprendre le jeu? Ah. Je suis game over? Qu'est-ce qu'il faut que je fasse? What? Quoi? Bon, ben, en tout cas, faut que je quitte pareil, fait que je vais quitter là. Je vais quitter là, au pire, je vais reprendre. Au pire, je vais le reprendre là, je sais pas. Je vais quitter. De toute façon, il faut que je quitte pareil. Je sais pas c'est quoi que ça passe.